All right, can y'all still hear me?
Yes.
No.
Okay, good.
Oh, you can't hear him? I can hear. No.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't hear me, why would he respond?
Yeah.
I'm just being facetious. Don't mind me.
Asshole.
Terrio has told me that I can refer to you as like he gave me like 3 different names. How on the episode would you just want Napper?
That's fine.
Like it?
If you want to go Napper, that's cool. I know my first name is like, how do you say that?
Well,
my middle name really.
Jawaska?
Jawaska.
Jawaska. He told me even how to pronounce it in the text. As I said, I was like, no, wait, that's wrong. He told me how to say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, because we're not going to have no Sadie moments on this one. So I just want to make sure.
That was so awesome, though. That was so funny. I was like, oh my goodness. Just cut the music.
Dude, I legitimately, straight up, Terrio, I almost texted you like 6 times that week, dude, to ask, like, just tell me how to pronounce this. Welcome to the After Playlist Podcast, the music playlist discussion and reaction podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Lee.
And I'm Terrio.
And we're joined today with a special guest host. You can find him online via his YouTube channel, Black Magic Commander, as well as his self-published novel out now, Break, available on Amazon. Welcome to the show, Jawaska Napper. How are you doing today, man?
I'm good. Glad to be here. Thank y'all for bringing me on. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Today's going to be a good one. I'm so excited to have you on, man. So today we're going to be nerding out a little bit and talking about some of our favorite video game songs. So with a good mix of video game scores and soundtracks, we're going to be taking, I think for based on the playlist at least, I think we're going to be taking a trip down memory lane and kind of discussing, what makes video game music good and it's all, different aspects that we like about it.
Absolutely. And to just add a little bit more flair to it as well for the non-video gamers out there, aka my people. I also wanted to include songs that include the classic 8-bit sound. So it may not be a song dedicated to a video game, but it includes the classic 8-bit noises and sound effects mixed in with the modern flair. So we're going to be referring to those songs from the playlist throughout this episode. So to ensure everyone is familiar, let's introduce everyone to the songs featured in today's episode. They go as followed. Game Over by Little Flip, the remix with Young Buck and Bun B. I Just Wanna F, originally by David Guetta, featuring Timbaland and Dev, also co-produced by Afrojack. Geekin by Will.I.Am. Capcom Street Fighter 2, Guile's theme. Sorry Not Sorry, Bryson Tiller. The Vanilla Dome theme for Super Mario World. Legacy by Who Came After. Techno Syndrome classic song. Second Chance from the new Mortal Kombat 1. Then we have Graves. I don't know who that's by. Oh, Cyberpunk 2077. Then we got Utada Sanctuary Open. I believe it's from Kingdom Hearts from what I've been told, but I'm not sure.
Kingdom Hearts 2, I believe, actually.
Sweet.
I'm sure we'll get into that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Then we got the Portal end credits still alive. Halo's theme. We got a couple joints from Zelda, the Grotto Valley, the Lost Wood. Then we have Doom Eternal's theme. The only thing they fear is you. I feel a little triggered by that, but okay. Then we have the GTA San Andreas theme song. Then we got another Final Fantasy theme, the One Wing Angel. Then we also have Metal Gear Solid. I know who selected that one. And then we have the classic Sega Sonic game theme songs from Green Hill Act 1, and then the newer version of Sonic from Escape the City. Then we also have Dr. Willie's Castle from Mega Man 2. Forest Maze theme. I don't know what game that was from.
Super Mario RPG.
Okay, Super Mario RPG, and then also we have the classic Super Mario World, as well as a trap version of that to throw out there anyway. So
real quick, I gotta ask a question: Is it Dr. Willie or Dr. Wily?
I
never played Mega Man.
It's so Dr. Wily.
Okay, look, I told you I can't read going into this, so I said what I said. It's gonna be Dr. Willie going forward.
I wanted to make sure it was the right game. I was like, maybe we're talking about Free Willy.
Dr. Willie.
Dr.
Willie is the rated M. That's the rated M version.
Wow.
Sorry.
Before we get to the disclaimers, there will be no freeing of willies on this podcast.
No, not today.
So also, before we get into the episode, we want to give a special shout out to the homie Chris, who also submitted some songs for this playlist. Unfortunately, he was not able to record with us today, but I told him I was going to give him a shout out, and therefore I shall, and I did. And also, before we go into the podcast, before we dive into this playlist, we want to go over some quick, customary, every episode after playlist disclaimers. Number one, we respect everyone's opinion, regardless of how wrong or awful it may be. Number two, we're talking about the video game music, not which game is necessarily better than whatever kind of lore, whatever faction you're with, whatever team you're on. I don't care. We're just talking about the video game music. Actually, Mega Man could definitely beat Solid Snake in a battle. We're not doing that.
No. Let's not.
Number three, we're not too bad with profanity. Okay. I'm the one that's bad with profanity. I'll do my best, but occasionally a few cuss words may slip out. Occasionally, you have been warned. Don't listen to this with your grandma in the car unless she cuss with me. And then again, as we stated beforehand, we're only talking about the music, not the video game characters, real life or castable issues. So, or the composer or whatever studio is having an issue or whatever got bought out or merged or whatever. There's a lot going on in the video game world. We're just talking about the music, y'all, and just having fun with it. Another disclaimer that we need to add is that we're going to discuss some old dusty ass video games that you may or may not have played. If you're going to be spoiled by it, just deal with it, but spoiler alerts are happening. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. What did y'all think about this playlist?
I might be first up, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess as I'm a special guest.
Go for it.
The playlist as a whole, I think, is very interesting. I would say I may have been aware of maybe half of the playlist. Definitely a playlist to find some discovery in, to get up on some of the artists that I have heard from in the past, and then some new artists that I've never heard from. To see the remixes to or hear the remixes to the songs were pretty interesting. A lot of songs just take you back as you sit there and listen, and it's like, oh, I remember this game. Oh, I remember this moment. Oh yeah, it's a nice little throwback. So I think that really is what kind of engaged me and kind of piqued my interest. I don't know if you want me to go into any particular names. I guess we'll hit that point as we go through it, but yeah, there are some callbacks that really that speak to you or whatnot, and it's a few of them on there that got my name all over it. So,
well, so I will say this going into it: I am a professional number two player, meaning I am okay with being on the sidelines and supporting whoever's player one. That's my job. I am there for moral support. I'm that person to help you solve that puzzle. I'm the one to keep you engaged, keep you awake until I fall asleep. So that's my role as a professional number two. So, and I'm an only child, so you can understand how hard it was to be a number two player playing by yourself. And I found a way to make that work, because I used to record the video games on VHS because I'm that old. But anyway, that being said, it's funny how you said it brought you back, and it brought me back on certain things as well. But it was interesting, while compiling this playlist, it was a lot of overlap between all three of y'all submitting stuff. So between Chris submitting stuff, between you Napper sending stuff, and between you Brandon submitting stuff, like y'all were sending some stuff, and I was like, oh man, this playlist is gonna be long as hell. And it's already like 27 songs. Technically, some of them are very short, but it's like 27 altogether. But I was like, man, it's gonna be about 50 songs, and I cut half of it down because a lot of y'all suggested the same song. So that was crazy. And just like unbeknownst to each other, which I thought was like very interesting. I was like, I guess you are, the company you keep.
Yeah, and I think that speaks a lot to the video game industry and the video game setup as a whole. I think it crosses all barriers, all genres, genders, cultures, everything. Games speak to people, and it's like it goes to our baser needs, where it just speaks to stuff for fun. And I think at the end of the day, when we take care of our base needs, the next thing that we look for is fun. And I think that's what video games do for everybody. So, of course, I think when it comes to the music that you're hearing, that's first and foremost. We got what you see, and then you got what you hear. So I think those video games just they breach all of us, or breach our brains, and just breach our ears, and just get us in there. And
one thing I really kept thinking about this last week listening to the playlist is, of course, in any type of media, music is often used as like a emotional lever, so to speak, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like because of the interactivity that is video gaming, right? Like it's so much more hands on. You're actually, it's not just sitting there absorbing a movie as it happens in front of you. Like no, you're an active part of what's happening on the screen whenever you're playing a game. I feel like that makes whenever the music really hits, it hits that like emotional lever, so to speak, like so much harder. And that's some of these songs. I didn't really. It wasn't until like listening to them in kind of a like a sterile environment, I guess I could say, like not actually playing the game, just listening to the music. Right? It kind of made me. It dawned on me like, oh man, like some of these songs, like just sitting down and listening to it, like still kind of just because of where I first heard it from or whatever, still might have a slight emotional response, but it for several of these literally would like teleport me back in time to the first time I like was playing the game and like heard this soundtrack come on at this part of the game or whatever. And it's just like, man, it's just, I just love that. I love that about music in general, but like you were saying, Napper, the marriage of that with video games just really makes it like, I don't know, it makes it hit different and like, and more in a sense.
And to piggyback on that as well, for a lot of these, I've never even heard. So I don't even have the context of the game, but just hearing the score makes me intrigued about the game, which is weird. So like, I mean, I've heard of, I'm not under a rock, so I've heard of some of these names in passing, but I don't know what exact point in the stage or in the game or in the story that this particular score or this particular soundtrack comes into play. But just listening to it, I'm just like, I don't know what's happening in this world at this particular point in time, but I kind of dig it. And there's some that I scratch my head. I'm just like, okay, what? But at the same time, I'm still like curious about some of these games. So I will say majority of my contributions were the ones that were like flipped or remixed or had some kind of 8-bit sound.
Which I'm so thankful you added those in, like all the I don't know if you added all of them, but any of the ones where it's like a remix or like a reimagining of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's several like that on there, and just because again, for several of these songs, I have heard from playing the game so many times or whatever, just having it. Even so, especially for like Zelda, I would literally. There's been times in the past where I would just pull up a Zelda game soundtrack and just have that playing. Like in college, I would have that as like my study music, right? Just because it's so comfortable for me.
Get the juices flowing.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's really nice to hear like the Lost Woods like flip kind of dubsteppy remix where it like adds a bunch of different elements to it and like it keeps you fresh on your toes.
Okay. So out of the playlist, are there any songs that jumped out to y'all in particular?
Okay.
Several.
For me, several of them. Just the one Halo. That song, that intro is it just speaks on so many levels because when you hear it, you just know. And of course, with me, I always think about so my first experience with Halo was Halo 2, and they had the theme song. It was just one quick moment where I'm on a bridge as Master Chief, and I see a tank coming and it's driving my way, but it's way down below me. And I'm on the bridge, and I'm from the PS2 era. So for me to play on Xbox, I had never really experienced this at a first-person shooter. And I'm just like, oh, I should just jump down there and just start shooting those guys as the tank comes up onto me. And so, of course, being funny, I did it. Most times back in the days on a lot of games, if you jump off a bridge, you're going to die. Yeah, that was it. But no, I actually landed on the tank, and then all of a sudden the music kicked in, and you just hit dun, 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 and I'm like, what is going? And then all the guys start shooting at me, and I'm just going ham, just start shooting everything, and that was the moment for me, and that's what sold me on Halo. So in the combination of playing a game, but with the combination of that music, I'll never forget it, and it creates those moments. And I think Halo speaks volumes to me, and I'm not even an expert person like that.
That was literally the first song I thought of for this playlist, and I'm not even like a huge mega Halo fan, dude. Like I mean, I have played, especially like the original trilogy. I played a lot, like whenever I was a young man and like child or whatever. But man, I totally agree. It's just something special about that, and I want to say, I mean, it's been years since I played these games, but I want to say in like all three, there's some awesome moments where the theme like really kicks in, and it just makes it makes you feel like you're Master Chief going on this like grand epic sci-fi saving the world adventure, man, saving the universe, really. I really love the Gregorian. I don't know if Gregorian chant, but like the chanting, the it's just like gives me like chills, dude.
So me listening to I'm just Halo in passing. I'm sorry, I'm not. I don't play. I suck at like what's it called? First person shooters. I'm terrible at it. I can't even walk in a straight line. Like I'm terrible.
Silly.
Exactly. I'm like I'm shooting a cloud. Meanwhile, I'm getting like sniper shot in the back or whatever. But the intro to Halo automatically. I don't know which one came. Well, I guess Halo came before Naruto, but it's just when I hear that, I automatically think about Orochimaru. I don't know why. It's just that's the vibe I get. So I'm not sure if I'm like mixing genres or what happened, but like that's the vibe that I'm getting. I'm like, okay, is Orochimaru in the future? Because I know he like a snake, but also like a man and a woman. I don't know what's happening. So it's just one. So that's the vibe I got for that. So it did something to me. I don't know what it did. If it did what it intended for it to do, but it did something.
I definitely go to Catholic church or something. Not Orochimaru.
I did look it up, by the way. Naruto did come after.
Okay. So inspiration. I mean, look, Catholic Church, Orochimaru, tomato tomorrow. But either way, like I said, that's the vibe. That's the feel that I caught when listening to that one, and it kind of made me more intrigued about Halo. I did watch the show on Paramount Plus, the first couple episodes. So therefore, I think I'm an expert at the whole series now, because I know how how video game accurate that show was.
Oh man,
and everybody loved seeing Master Chief face. So yeah, it was a good time.
So I will say I guess composer for that, Martin O'Donnell, does pretty much, at least for the original Halo trilogy, did like 99% of the music, I think, if not like literally 100% of it. And it is like, this is just the first one that like is the most clear cut. I think of Halo, I think of this theme, but there's so many, man. If anyone listening, if you played Halo, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's so many that they went like above and beyond in the music department for those games, man.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, well, the game that I can speak of that is very similar to Halo is Super Mario World on Super Nintendo. And that's the one that got me. Can you say on the street? That's what that got me. So not only was Mario flying with a yellow cape, but then when he got to that vanilla dome and that beat switch, the amount of times where I would get to that stage and I would just put the controller down and just like walk away and just be like, just have it on, just have it on loop. Yeah, I'll be at the corner like my little 8-year-old self, like, hey, like turn it up. And I was like, that beat switch is so fire. Like that was the most hip hop like sounding thing at the time in the video game for me back in the late 1900s when I was a child. So and I just love that.
You wanted a little tidbit on that one. So of course you remember that song, that same beat. It's a very slick variation of that put into Final Fantasy VII. And it's a different version of it, but when they're in the streets of Midgar, I want to say that's the area, and they have that beat playing in the background. It's very, very similar. They're almost like one and the same, but there's some slight tweaks on it. So I'm not 100% sure who did the Mario beat, but Nobu Uematsu, I think is his name, the one who does a lot of the music for Final Fantasy. He definitely vibed off of that. If anything, he may have heard the Mario theme and wanted to incorporate it into the game, but similar vibe.
Wow. So I fought it for years and you have finally successfully made me want to get into Final Fantasy. Like,
oh man, the music in Final Fantasy is great, dude.
Legendary.
That's one thing. I've not played a ton of them, but of the few I have played, music is another. Just any, like, I feel like Japanese gaming companies, at least, especially in the past, like in the early video game era, like, 90s and maybe even early 2000s, they really, really went like music was such a core focus that maybe doesn't always get in like more modern games the same level of attention.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I feel like it's it's a lot of the songs on here. Like I think there's very few of the songs on the playlist that are from like quote unquote modern games. They're most of them are like throwbacks for which obviously part of that is we're obviously biased somewhat, but I also think part of it is just there's not as much awesome music in gaming nowadays that really like sticks out and calls out to you. I feel like
there's not too many. I will give a sign for a new one though. Game that just dropped, Stellar Blade. Their little intro music is a bop. It's very low back, kind of hi-fi jazz, and
I can dig it.
I've sat on the main menu screen just listening to the music. So there are some out there somewhere, and that's from a Korean artist or whatnot. I'm not sure who did that music or whatnot, but something to look into if you're interested. Stellar Blade, look at that theme song. Oh, it kind of takes you back to these old school songs.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like back in the day, I think they relied more on composers more so compared to now, where I think they reach out to popular artists to like make a original song for the soundtrack versus an original composer. I mean, I could be wrong because again, I'm not an expert, and feel free to comment below or say something to us on Patreon or whatever. But that's the vibe that I get, and
I think it's noticeable though whenever a game does have a composer that's like written a full score for a game, and again, like I said earlier, that's written the music with the emotional impact in mind. You notice the difference whenever you get that.
Definitely.
Versus just having like a flipped, they take a popular song and they have another artist like redo it and like make it like down tempo where it was up tempo before, or vice versa, and it's like this is the song's theme, and it's like that's kind of lame
when they Fortnite it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, honestly. Yeah.
Wow. I am so upset that became a verb. Like, man, don't Fortnite that.
I'm claiming it.
Copyright. Napper on after playlist. That's crazy. So one of the songs that I submitted that also Chris submitted, and I think even Napper may have submitted it as well, was Sanctuary Opening by Utada from Final Fantasy.
As soon as I saw this on here, I was so mad that I didn't think of it.
so which is crazy because like around this time when I first heard the song, I was becoming a Utada fan. I had no idea she was doing the Final Fantasy thing until Napper put me on game. He was like, "Oh, you listen to the Final Fantasy song?" I was like, "Huh? What?" I just like the song because it's a good ass song and she can sing her ass off in that song, and it's a good vibe. And he was like, "No, it's a song for a video game." I was like, "Oh hell, I ain't know." But like, I was becoming an Utada fan, and that song is so good. Like coming up with this playlist, it brought me back to the moment where I first discovered the song, not necessarily the video game. It's just that song in particular because like I like the opening and then the Sanctuary ending. I almost put the ending on by mistake. But I was like, okay, because I was listening to it, I was like, this is good, I enjoy it, but I was like, I don't think this is the right version. And then I found the opening, I was like, okay, that's the version that I originally wanted to put on here. But I could listen to both of them back to back. Like, it is such a good song. It's just a whole vibe. And again, I have no connection to the video game, but I would play the game just to hear that song. If I had no other way to get to the song, like if there wasn't a YouTube or a Spotify, I would go and play that game just to hear that song.
Spoiler alert, you only gonna hear it in the beginning.
You're only gonna hear it at the very beginning. But I will say this hearing that song took me back to being in the dorm. I have like two of my dorm mates and then another friend, like several of my like really good friends are like huge, mega big Kingdom Hearts fans. And I remember
Hearts. Oh, she always saying Final Fantasy. I meant to say Kingdom Hearts.
It's okay. It's Square Enix. They'll make it. So
Kingdom Hearts has Final Fantasy in it. It's Final Fantasy meets Disney. So you're not wrong by saying that.
Oh man.
But I remember literally like being all in the dorms and we'd all be studying, and what they would play as like study music would be just Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 mega playlist, all of the soundtrack.
That is why I don't know how they would focus with that.
I did not.
That does not sound like a chill, like, let me sit and focus. It's like, I guess maybe when they get to some of the little more chimey kind of low, because they do have some slower moving beats and songs or whatever in the game that'll kind of just let you vibe out. So I guess a little bit.
But it's not all. A lot of it's not. But yeah, just that was definitely one that like all of us, the Sanctuary is one that like all of us would recognize and like kind of, oh yeah, I know this one.
Sanctuary was it. Too bad the third one kind of went more of because they had the Let It Go and a lot of Disney music on it, so it kind of I think it hurt the soundtrack a little bit coming towards the end.
I gotta be honest, I never even played the third one. Only the first two.
You're okay. You didn't miss anything.
That's what I heard. That's why I never did. I had my roommate at the time when it came out played it, and he beat it in like a week, and he's like, "It was man." I was like, "All right, that's all I need to know." It's not for me. I'm not gonna waste money on it.
I know that's right. Oh man, that's crazy. So of the 8-bit songs that I submitted, the ones that had like, I guess, a heavy 8-bit influence, what are your thoughts on those?
Okay, well, first of all, let me just say that my gaming career started like right at the tail end of like 8 and 16-bit gaming era.
Mm-hmm.
Like my first console was a Nintendo 64, which was like the first console that like went into 3D, and it really dropped like the 2D graphics and pixel graphics, and they had a lot more technology, so the sounds and everything was a lot more fuller than you would get in an 8-bit or 16-bit. So a lot of these like 8-bit songs on here from these games, I did not at all have the like nostalgia hit I feel like you guys probably had hearing it. That being said, like you did kind of mention earlier, Terrio, there are some bangers on here. Both I never played Sonic. Both of the Sonic ones, I know. I was never. None of my friends played it. I never played it. I never had any like really motivation to play it. But both of the Sonic tracks on this playlist are absolute bangers in my opinion. I was probably looking like a weirdo just bopping my head to the beat of these 8-bit songs driving down the road.
You got that experience, and that's what it did for us when we were kids, because that was Sega. When Sega came in and brought Sonic, that was all the Nintendo kids trying to turn into teenagers at that time. So it was like, I get to be cool, and they gave cooler beats. And Sonic Gotta Go Fast was like, oh, it's Sonic, we gotta go fast. Like that whole Act 1, the Green Hill song, that beat is, I mean, if you didn't have the game, you walked into somebody's house and they was on that stage, so you knew that song or whatnot.
That was the first stage, so you definitely you always heard that. You may not make it past everything else, but speaking of Sonic though, because Sonic was faster than Mario, because Mario was a fat slow plumber or whatever, still my hero. But like the thing about Sonic, and speaking of the music and the score, Sonic made you feel like you was about to die when you was underwater. Yo, you don't understand that, man. That music, man, you felt like you was having heart palpitations because Sonic would be underwater and he has to like grab. I'm sorry, apologize, y'all. Old man alert. Let me explain Sonic to Brandon real quick. Bear with me. But there are parts of the stage where Sonic would be underwater and he would have to like suck an air bubble in order to stay underwater and not die. But like if you don't get that air bubble in time, that music will just cut off and go. Like you will feel like you were about to like.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes, you be freaking out, and then also you was like, you just die. But like but just as a kid, when you hear that music just cut out and go, it was like, oh shit. Like you was like I'm over here running around my living room trying to find like an air tank. Like I'm doing everything I can do to make sure that this little blue thing don't die. But yeah, that was the vibe. Like music is so critical. Like people be sleeping on that. Like it can make or break like any kind of like thing, man.
I think especially for that era of gaming, because they didn't. I mean, nowadays you have like you get voice actors coming in to do like full 30-hour long scripts that they're recording and stuff. Back then it was just text. So any emotion you wanted to have like the audience like feel, you had to basically do it through the music. Yeah. And at least you had to have music like accompanying it to like have those emotional beats. Because otherwise you're just looking at some like very neon colored, weirdly pixelated
stuff. With that statement, now you're making me rethink my Final Fantasy days. Because when I played Final Fantasy 7 and I fell in love with all these songs, it was like I wasn't hearing their voices, so all their voices are in my head for me reading, and so I'm constantly just hearing the music in the background. That could very well be why the music is so like big to us from back then versus maybe now, because you're so like blasted in the face with all the other audio things that's going on, that maybe we're not really getting into the music like that, so they don't focus on the music as much, or maybe they're focusing on the music, we're just not hearing it to that extent. Wow, I never even thought about it from that point.
No. I mean, but
Yeah.
what's his name? Shout out to Michael Rudolph, aka one of my best friends, stepdad. He taught us as a jazz musician, the music would tell you what to say and what to think. So when you hear that score, the lyrics may not be there. And I learned in the last episode that lyrics matter, but
Words matter.
Words matter and lyrics matter. I learned that recently. But there's something about that music, like you said, like you're reading and you're hearing the music and you're painting that picture. You're creating that art within your mind, and it's pretty dope.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It definitely does. How do I want to put it? It's just, I don't know, man. It's so different from today, where it's like so like a lot of it's because of the technology we have today or whatever. But back in the day, they had to be creative in a sense to like have the same impact. Whereas now you can just, again, you can have, motion capture the actual dude who's doing the voice lines and he's doing everything for you. And it's just like, I don't know. It's like better in one sense, but like you definitely lose out on something in the same sense that the older games had. And I think a lot of that is like kind of forcing you to theater of the mind a little bit more versus everything's like it's a lot more cinematic and more like a movie. A lot of games are nowadays. Not all of them. There's also a ton more games nowadays. It's like a multi-billion dollar industry. But like a lot of the like more popular ones are definitely more cinematic and don't really encourage you to add your own imagination to the mix as much. I feel like
this is true.
I definitely feel like now that it's definitely handed directly to people versus allowing people to fill in the blanks, because people's attention span is a whole other thing. So it was like, fine, we laid the Easter egg for you, but since you're not getting it fast enough, here it is. It's like there's no mystery with it. So I don't know. Let's see what other songs are here. Oh, so again, I went from my first console was a Super NES, and then I went from Super NES to Xbox 360. So there's a big gap.
Yeah, that's pretty sizable. A couple of generations.
Yeah, I kind of missed out on a lot. So that GTA though. Yo, why did that thing go so damn hard? And why was Snoop Dogg not rapping on that?
Some great music, man.
Man, like I'm waiting. I'm just like, where's Snoop verse at, yo? Like, let's go. Like that beat was fire. And I'm waiting.
The voice cast of that whole game was crazy.
It was,
anyways. So a lot of people just didn't realize the voice actors that was in that. Samuel was in that thing. So I'm like, there's so many different voice actors in that game, and you don't even notice it. And that vibe was just so South Central. Like they were like on it. I mean, you hear that beat come in, and you're just like, oh man, I'm gonna either crip walk or I'm gonna turn around and play this game.
Hey, sometimes doing both.
I will say, as a kid growing up, like obviously not having any full understanding or even knowledge, as a kid at least, really any knowledge at all about like anything that's going on and like, out on the West Coast musically or societally, whatever. Like this game gave me a taste of that, and it bleeds that style and like that vibe of like West Coast. The theme song itself is just like so like laid back and like chill, and it's like you said, you hear it and you almost expect like a Snoop Dogg or a Dr. Dre to pop up on it or something. It's just like it's so perfect for it.
Yeah, like I missed that entirely.
Oh yeah, it came out during the time of like, was it Minister Society and New Jack City, and so it was all around that. So you had that big theme going on anyways, and then all the different rappers of that era were just going at it. So yeah, it just speaks to I think a lot during that time, and for anybody who wasn't on the West Coast, you got to experience the West Coast through that game or whatnot. And so I think that's why it holds so much just depth to people's heart and everything.
It does for me as a young white country bumpkin. It was eye-opening. I'll say that.
Why you go so hard with the white line though? God dang it. You wouldn't have said the fuck out of that white. Yeah, I'm sorry.
He's like, I'm making sure you knew I was the other cop.
It was the buffering of like the country bumpkin. I was like, I almost said something completely different than that.
He was like, I just want to make it clear, I am white. Like,
I mean,
I'm like,
this
damn.
is
white
an
country
audio
bumpkin.
podcast. So now you know. You didn't know.
If you didn't, now you do.
Subscribe to the Patreon so you can get the video.
You can see my pasty glory, my pasty face in all its glory. Okay,
I'm done.
one song I want to talk about,
Yeah,
and I'm not sure who added it, but this was another one. Whenever I saw it on there, I was like kicking myself that I didn't think of adding a song from this series. The Doom Eternal OST.
No,
The only thing that there is you. Was that you that added it, Napper?
it wasn't me.
Or that must have been a Chris.
It had to
That
be
was a
Chris.
shout out. That was shout out to Chris
Shout
on that
out
one.
again to Chris for that one. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about. I never played Doom Eternal, which is like the sequel to 2016's like Doom reboot that they had or whatever. But I did play the 2016 reboot, and one thing I remember whenever that game came out was the who's the Mick Gordon. I had to look down to see it. He's the composer for these two games, and I think he did it a little bit on Eternal, but he like really did it a lot in the first and in the 2016 Doom. Where if you get a sonogram or a spectrogram? What is it? Where like the waveforms can like make images? There's like a certain type of something. I think a sonogram. I want to say.
Anyways, so I played the game.
He basically composed several of the songs to where if you plugged it into a sonogram, it would have like a pentagram, or it would have like 666, or it would have like,
oh wow,
like I think one of the ones from Doom Eternal, that the one on the playlist is from, it has like the Doom 2 like cover art like in the sonogram version of the song, which is just like really cool, like little hidden Easter egg. I feel like you don't have to make it where the sound makes an image, but he did it anyways. And that's on top of just being like an already like super awesome, like rock heavy, adrenaline fueled soundtrack.
Now you're giving me reasons to go and finish that game. I started off and I played the first like 15 minutes of it.
It's so
and
good.
I haven't went back to it. Not because it was a bad game. It's just a lot of other games spoke to me. It's a first person shooter. I'm not too into it. And I played with the entire HUD off. So it looks gorgeous if you ever decide you want to do that or whatnot. So you just see nothing but images. So maybe I'll go back and look for that now when I go through and play it. So that's
soundtracks. The soundtracks for all of these games, or for both of those games, is pretty stellar. I will say Mick Gordon is like a composing mastermind when it comes to doing like the metal hard rock.
Nice.
So, am I wrong for getting Doom confused with Doom?
You were so wrong for that.
Like the Timothy Chalamet.
Nothing alike. Nothing.
Yeah.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Because I was just like, I'm thinking to myself, I was like, why they going so hard, aggressive rock with this desert movie? Like, I was so confused.
Doom Part 3.
Yeah.
I was
That'd
like,
probably be kind of dope, actually.
I was so confused. I was just like, okay, what they got to do with the desert and all that stuff? I was lost. But yeah, I mean, hey, as a rock fan, yeah, they definitely went hard on that for sure. I definitely like that song.
The only rock, like super rock heavy song on here, I think, wasn't it?
To my knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, and quick disclaimer on the Spotify version, the original version wasn't on there. So Spotify, I found a cover that was done by an artist that's very, very close to the original one. But you definitely want to hear the YouTube playlist. Listen to that one. Definitely hear the actual like recording for the Doom Eternal theme, because it definitely goes hard. Definitely goes hard.
If you are into rock, I didn't suggest it, so I probably should have. Final Fantasy X. If you're into rock and heavy metal, that soundtrack is super heavy metal when you do certain boss fights, and it's just like you just hear the screaming in the background. It's like, oh, okay, just you're hyped up for the fight, and whatnot.
You know what? Real talk. I actually thought I forgot about one too. I probably could have thrown on there if we was going more rock heavy with it. Killer Instinct, the reboot. Like the Microsoft version of Killer Instinct, like they had a lot. Like it was very rock soundtrack heavy on that too.
That is true. It is. Yeah. It's been a long time since I really got into that.
I mean, I still be walking around and if I stumble into something or if I see somebody hit something, I'd be like, "Trouble breaker!" Like I'll still do that every now and then.
As you should. As you should.
I'm sure Kombat with fries. So
the best combo.
The Mega Supreme combo with fries. Always. Okay. So, I'm gonna bulldoze the podcast for a second. I want to get into these, like the rap songs that have the 8-bit sounds. I'm very curious about what y'all think about those songs. And did you catch the sample in one of them?
The Mega Ran one?
No, just like the Game Over, I Just Want to F, Geekin, and Sorry Not Sorry. Like, I wonder if y'all caught any of those or your thoughts on any of those songs. The ones at the beginning of the playlist.
The Game Over, I remember the Game Over one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what was that from though.
See, that was I liked all of them, but my issue was like, what are these from? What game hosted these songs?
Okay. So no. So that was the thing. Like I said, like none of those songs at the beginning were in a video game. They were just songs that had the 8-bit sample or had video game influence in the production.
Gotcha. That makes way more sense.
I roll it back too. They did start off with the what was that Pac-Man sound? Because it starts off with the one. Well, yeah, that is Pac-Man. Then they have. I did remember catching the. Now it comes back to me because I heard that song back in the days. This mix and whatnot. They have the Melina or Katana screaming for Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
And so there are some things I do remember the song. It's been so long because I remember when it first came out, we were all over that. I remember. I think I was in college at the time.
Absolutely,
like college.
Yeah.
To date myself.
Definitely. Exactly. But yeah, I love that Game Over remix because again, it definitely harkens back more to the NES sound effects, and it has like the Pac-Man stuff. It had the Melina scream. They also flipped the Mario beat in the second verse. Where
oh, my bad. Y'all didn't hear that.
So I definitely enjoyed that. And of course, Bun B went through and just like murdered the third verse as always because Bun B's a lyricist. So I definitely just that song, it embodies that era of hip hop as well as brings back the nostalgia for me personally when it comes to production wise, because again, it has like the Mario sound and then the Mortal Kombat sounds and all the Pac-Man stuff. So it definitely takes me back to the late 1900s where things were much simpler and nicer back then.
And harder.
And harder. And yeah.
They let you win now.
It's true though.
That's so true. Man, them games is hard as hell for no reason. You had no checkpoint. You had no save. You had to, man, I remember I used to leave my system on overnight when I got too tired and just to try to stay at that one stage to pick up at that level as soon as I wake up. And lo and behold, wake up, doggone, here come mama or cousin, somebody. What's this going on? Cut that
my energy.
Man, yeah. My light bill gonna be sky high. Turn that system off.
No, I have memories of doing similar things and like leaving it on like all day while I'm at like school or whatever, right? And then I come home and it's like with older TVs, it would have wherever my character was like standing or whatever, that image would be burned onto the screen. So it'd be like I'd have to play for like all that evening and like the next day to make that like kind of start to fade away. That happened so many times to me growing up.
Oh, that's screen burning.
Yeah, man. Too funny.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Kind of in the same vein as that, I really enjoyed Legacy.
Yes.
That just had like all the different like disparate game franchise sounds that are like brought together. Like the correct me if I'm wrong, that is the one that has like the beat drop with the Pikachu, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That Pikachu beat drop goes hard, bro. That Pikachu beat drop goes so hard. The first time I heard that, I was like, what is this? Oh my God. I was like losing my mind.
Right? Yeah, that Pikachu beat drop, and then like it has so many little Easter eggs. Like
it does.
Like it has the sonic spin as well with the Pikachu. My Pikachu going Pikachu, and you hear that like that's that sonic burnout, like you about to take off. So it was just like it's a sensory overload. I love it. I love it. It just brings me so much joy. Brings me so much joy. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that one was a favorite of mine on the whole thing, honestly.
Yeah. Did you catch the sample in the Sorry Not Sorry by Bryson Tiller?
I didn't.
What? I literally put the song right before it. So Napper, I believe it, you the one that suggested Guile's theme,
had a
right?
Super Street Fighter.
So, because it had the Street Fighter sample in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so like it was funny because I knew it was a Street Fighter sample in the Bryson Tiller song, but I just thought it was just overall just Street Fighter theme. But but Napper suggested for the playlist the Guile's theme, so I put it on there and I'm listening to it. I was like, oh shit, that's the one right there. So I put them back to back in the playlist for y'all to catch it as well as the listeners to catch it as well. But it just cracks me up that I'm listening to a trap R&B song with the Street Fighter sample. Like the song literally starts off with fight, and the beat drop.
It was during that time. It came out during that time. If you were playing video games at that time, you played Street Fighter, and so Street Fighter 2 was it, and everybody knew it was like, okay, Guile beat hit the hardest, I think, in that 8-bit. Because if it wasn't Guile's theme song, we probably were going with Ryu's theme song. So
yes, definitely those two.
It makes sense. It all makes sense on there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then
that went right over my head.
Oh my gosh.
Well, have you seen, if you play Street Fighter 6 or have seen it, like now?
I've never played a single Street Fighter. I think that's a big part of it. I was trying my best. Like I would listen to the Guile theme and I was trying my best to just like absorb that and be like, okay, I've never played these games. Let me really focus in. And then I guess Bryson Tiller would come on right next after that. And I'd be like, okay, well, this is totally different than what I just heard. I guess I wasn't keying in on the sampling.
If you literally walk in a crowd and turn that theme on, you will see one or two people just jump back and start bouncing. It's guaranteed. Just go into any public area and you will see somebody start bouncing. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, yeah, let's go.
That is a big one.
Oh yeah. So okay, well, if y'all caught the sample with that, leave us a comment or something below because I'm curious if other people caught it. I also want to give a shout out to Will.I.Am on the Geekin song because I like the beat, the way he did that beat on that song, and the fact that he sampled the Intel commercial in the middle of the song.
Yeah, that cracked me up.
Dum 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 dum. So I was like, this song is so stupid. And lastly,
but in the best way.
Yeah, in the best way. Speaking of stupid songs. Y'all know I'm a Timbaland fan, but I just want to F. What y'all think about that song?
I'm not a fan, but
this was the one song on the playlist. I was like, why is this on here? At first, I'm not gonna lie.
I've heard it in the past, but yeah, I don't know, Terrio. No.
It was new to me. I'd never heard it before, I don't think.
And he would never
one
again.
Time in the past.
Fair enough. No, I mean, just like so lyrics aside, the song itself is stupid and just fun, cheeky fun, whatever. But from a production standpoint, what y'all think it'd be with the 8-bit sound and 808s and all that stuff? Still not.
I think I just wasn't feeling it. It wasn't for me.
It was okay. It wasn't my favorite, but I didn't hate it.
You ain't got the lie, Brandon. You ain't got the lie.
I mean, just thinking about the beat, I think what really made me not like it was the dumb lyrics. Because it's also the second song on the playlist. So I'm really like mentally preparing for like video game music. And then this song comes on. I'm like, what is this doing on here? Like I said, I was like, why is this on here? But I put 8 bits in the title of the playlist.
I know. Yeah. I don't know. It was not the right 8-bit. They might should have added another 8. We should have went to 16. I don't know. Something was off about that one.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. Oh man.
But I mean, I guess the good part is it's early in the playlist to where you can be like, okay, something went wrong here, and then get past it and keep moving and be surprised and happy. Because I think if that went further into the middle of the playlist, you might lose some folks.
Fair enough. Okay.
It's a true possibility there.
Yep. All right. So pivoting to actually something good. The Mortal Kombat songs. What do y'all think about those?
It's Mortal Kombat.
It's I really dig the I think you said it was from like the newest like Mortal Kombat 1 or whatever, the Second Chance.
Yes.
I dug that one because it seemed to at least have parts of like the original Mortal Kombat theme song or whatever.
It had like homages and
homages. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, it had homages to the original, and then you have like the rap come in over top of it, and it's a vibe. I was seriously jamming to that one every time it would come on.
I just love that beat. That beat goes hard.
The beat too. Yeah,
it is. I like how it has like the action, like the new Mortal Kombat sound effects with all the guts and gory and stuff. And I like I don't know. The production is what got me. And then I started listening to the lyrics afterwards. I was like, okay, I see how they're playing with the the tropes of the game and merging it into like the rap lyrics. And I thought that was fire as hell.
Yeah, it was.
And I definitely, I'm pretty sure a lot of lyrics and stuff that really just hit the point was Mega Ran. I don't know if y'all know Mega Ran, but Mega Ran go hard, and he knows his video games. So with him being on the track or whatnot, it's gonna be good. I don't think I've heard really any of his songs that are bad when he mixes up video game songs in them. Yeah, he gonna make sure if he's put a verse on there, it's going to be good. And I mean, it's Mortal Kombat on top of that. So yeah.
Yes, definitely that.
It was really nice to hear, like, because the first Mortal Kombat one on the playlist, that's like the original.
Yeah,
right.
Okay, because it's very techno, very rock.
That's another. So so a little video game background, I guess a little bit. I know Terrio. It sounds like Napper, you as well. You guys are into like the fighting games, like the 2D, like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter. I've never been into those. I've maybe played like a combined like 5 hours, like across my entire life of that type of game. Just none of them, again, growing up was one of those things like none of my friends were ever into it. So like by proxy, I never got into it, and now as an adult, I still have a lot of the same friends that I game with from back in the day. So like they're still not into it. So by proxy, I'm still not into it. So like I've never heard. I'm familiar, obviously, with Mortal Kombat and like the Mortal Kombat. Like I'm familiar with all that, but I never actually I don't think sat down and just like listened to like just the theme. Like this is.
It's the hype.
It is super hype, man. I get it. I get why you would be. Like, is this like the same thing that like the OG Mortal Kombat, like the arcades, which is what you would hear like at an arcade? Because I could see how that would make you want to be dropping more quarters in.
Well, they don't play the actual theme song in the arcade game. It's a different type of beat that they have, but when they introduced it from commercials, trailers, and all of that has always been that push, and of course that moved into the movies. The movie, I think, is what really push that song forward,
which is ironic because I actually did watch and loved the 94, 95, whatever year that movie came out. I loved that movie as a kid, dude. Like the Goro,
like the bad CGI with the scorpions, with the bad CGI coming out the hand.
But whenever you're like 7 or 8 or however old I was when that movie came out, it was like your brain doesn't, especially back in the day, whenever that was all like new, your brain was like, oh, that's real life. That happened. That's what it seemed like at the time.
It does not hold up for today's standards.
It does not at all. No.
But it was Mortal Kombat. It was fun. It was the game that we remembered, and that beat just did it. Like you're hyped up. I remember many people play that before we went to go take tests, before football games. A lot of just moments when people were doing different little sports and stuff is like at that time it's like, oh, play this song, get hyped, let's go do it.
like that song was on like people's workouts like playlists and stuff like that. It's just something about that song. It's just absolutely. See, I had the exact opposite. Like my friends and my cousins and my folks back home, we were all about fighting games. Like that's what we did. We played the Killer Instincts, we played the Street Fighters, we played the Mortal Kombats. I was absolutely terrible at it. But that moment when you button mash so hard that you accidentally hit a fatality or unlock something new in the stage that nobody's seen before and you could never do it again. When I say like we jumped up and down, was running all over the house,
losing your mind,
just losing our minds. Like we were literally that whole meme with everybody like, oh, like we were literally like that whole moment, and it's just crazy. Just thinking about those days. But yeah, like this playlist definitely knocks back on a lot of nostalgia for me. A lot of stuff I wanted to get into, I just never got into. Like, don't flame me for it, but Zelda, I don't get it. I don't get it.
See, Zelda was. See,
it's so boring.
I mean, it is part of the music, but how you were just saying, like you grew up playing Zelda was my fighting game. Like swap where you just said, because like literally my cousins lived next door. They would come over first thing in the morning. We turn on Zelda. We would take turns figuring out the puzzles, figuring out where to go next. It was this big open world, especially for like the Nintendo 64 version. Well, it wasn't homework because it was fun. Every new corner you went around, you had something new and exciting to do, something new to get, some new enemy to fight, some new puzzle to figure out that would have its own reward once you finished it. And then it was just, me and my two cousins would just be, and oftentimes I'll also have like, some of my best friends as a kid would come over, and it would just be a group of like 5-6 boys sitting on a TV, and one guy would be trying to finish a puzzle or trying to like do some platforming, and then they would die a couple times and then pass the controller on to the next person. You would try to get.
Y'all were patient.
It was patient.
I guess I didn't have that.
I think that's why we went to fighting games more, because it's like 5 of us here. Nobody's patient enough to watch somebody else try to figure something out, and so it's like it's gonna be a fight, and so it's like, oh, fighting games, just pass the controller, lose rounds, you lose, pass it. But Zelda was good. I only played Zelda by myself though.
And that's the thing. Like I tried to play it by myself, and that's when I
get stuck.
I'll get stuck on something, and then slightly get mad and throw the controller across the room. But things happen. But it's just like it's different when you're doing a fight game because it's 2 players. So so there's 2 people fighting at a time, and then it's like the whole bracket system, whatever. So we'll just whittle it down that way. But yeah.
So for me, whenever we wanted to do like if we wanted more than one person to be playing at a time, instead of fighting games, we would play sports games like old school, like Blitz, NFL Blitz, and like the old school Maddens and old school NCAA footballs and 2K, this, that, and the other. Like the sports is what we would play if we had like multiple people all wanting to play at one time.
Okay, that is fair. So we did do that, but I would say. My mind was blown when NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, when the video game characters cussed. I was like, "Oh, they can cuss in a video game now."
I remember that too.
I was like, "Whoa, what is happening?" My mind was blown. I was like, "Get the hell out of here!" I was like, "What? Huh?"
That got in trouble a few times.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it plays and your mom just pops right around. What'd that TV just say?
Exactly.
Like, nothing, Mom. Nothing.
Turn it off right now. Just got to the good part.
But okay, looping back a little bit, back to Zelda. I specifically put 2 very short tracks on here.
Yes.
Because and that's the opening of a treasure box, and then the item. It's called item catch. In my head, I always just said it as the reward jingle you would hear whenever you would like get a new item out of a chest or whatever. But those, man, I was literally just like listening to the entire, because I knew I wanted something from Ocarina of Time, because that was like growing up. That was like my game that I played like more than anything else growing up as a young lad. But I wasn't sure like what exactly. I had like several, the Lost Woods was one, the Gerudo Valley, several of the like kind of darker, more like scary sounding, at least like as a kid, the scarier sounding things I thought about putting on here. But then just as I'm listening to literally just the entire soundtrack, these came on back to back, and it was just like a kick in the face back to being like 5, 6, 7 years old and playing these games, dude.
You know what? Like the way I pictured it is like you're sitting there listening to it, and like those moments, like that part of the playlist came in, and then like Doctor Strange like pushed you out of your body, like Peter Parker, and Brandon's just floating in the astral plane in Zelda nostalgia, just like all happy and shit.
It's true nostalgia. I don't know if you're gonna get copyrighted with it. Brandon, you got an item over there or something that you're happy about? Just hold it up in the air real quick. Just hold it up. All right, and just play the theme song on that. You're gonna be like, oh, okay, I get it.
Wow.
Legendary. That if you don't remember
Yeah.
anything from Zelda, you may have never played Zelda. I can guarantee you've heard that song. You probably can relate to it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It calls back to Zelda. It's like there you go.
And it's
You know
just
what? That's
in and of
funny.
itself, it's such a like, it's just a little jingle that it is, man. Like even like without the nostalgia and everything, just you hear it. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm so biased. It's hard to like disconnect myself from it. But I feel like even just by itself in a bubble, it makes you hear that like or whatever. And it's just like, I won. Yes, I did it. Like it just makes you feel that way, man. Again, I don't know if maybe that's just because I'm too biased and I can't fully get away from it. But
I can agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
That was definitely like well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I've never beaten a Zelda, and I can recall those moments, those sounds, those songs. Is like they're it or whatnot. Yeah,
it's definitely another one like we were saying earlier, especially like the Nintendo 64 and earlier, or honestly any Zelda game. Nintendo does a really good job with all the Zelda games. Composing is like such a key aspect of like the emotional impact and of telling the story and of setting the scene and of motivating you to do one thing or another in these games. It's something I've not played the like more modern Zeldas really, so I can't speak too much to those on how well they do that, but
they do.
Definitely I figured it would. Well, I did play Breath of the Wild a little bit, but I've not played whatever the
Tears
newest
of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom. But yeah, man, just Legend of Zelda is something special when it comes to like how they incorporated the composing, especially because it was like for its time, it was like kind of the first like, not RPG. By today's standard, but like, like open world kind of RPG where you just literally had this wide open space and it's like you choose where to go and like where you go and what you did determined what music was playing, what enemies you were fighting, what boss you were in or what boss you were fighting, what dungeon you were in. And it's all this different stuff. It's just, man, like each like individual song is so distinct that like whenever I was listening through that entire soundtrack, those, these three that I have on here, the Gerudo Valley and the opening, the treasure chest and everything were like the three that like I just really, really love. But all of them, man, took me back to like that moment in the game wherever that sound comes up. And I don't know if I could say that for very many other games necessarily, where like literally each one has like a distinct memory with it, which is just pretty cool to me.
Yeah. I will say that like I'm familiar with hearing the item catch sound in other forms of media. So
it's kind of ubiquitous.
Yeah. So that part I was like, oh, I didn't know that was the original origin was through Zelda. Had no idea. But I mean, the more you know, that's why we do the podcast.
I actually had that as my girlfriend's, like if she would text me, that was the alert sound effect I would have on my phone. In high school. In high school.
Nice. That's nice. I'd be like, wow. I have that whole warning like that.
Okay. Well, overall, like I said, I was thoroughly satisfied with this playlist, and it definitely makes me want to learn or actually experience some games. There's two that we forgot to mention that I want to throw to real quick, and I think both of y'all chose them respectively, actually. So. Let's start with you first, Brandon. Well, no, let's go back to you, Napper, first. Okay. Metal Gear Solid.
Yes. Metal Gear. That game. So it was probably what I never even owned the game originally. We had a demo. I think if you bought Final Fantasy VII, you had a demo for Metal Gear Solid.
They would do that.
We had demos. And you play that demo. We played so much. Like I didn't understand anything about the game. Didn't fully get it. But I always heard that song, that intro song. It just hits, and it speaks like it feels like you've heard it in other places. But I want to say that it definitely originated with Metal Gear Solid or whatnot. And that song it's just like a slow, almost like how this Halo song is, how it just kind of creeps and feels in your ears or whatnot. And you get that espionage. Yeah, you get that espionage feeling or whatnot. It's like the second coming of 007, in a sense, or whatever, which that's kind of how the game plays itself out too. And then it becomes legendary. And I think the song speaks, like we spoke about earlier, the song is telling you how to feel. And that game starts off where you don't know this individual. You're learning about this individual and you realize he's a legend. And then what he's doing is epic. And by the end of the game, you're like, this was legendary. And I think the song has the same feeling where it's like, oh, this song, what is this song? This kind of creeping up to me. Okay, I'm feeling the beat. Okay, it's in my ears. I love it. I'm liking this song, and like the song is just legendary. It's in your head. Once you hear
it gets
remember.
epic. It's epic is the word that whenever I was listening to it, because at first I had a friend growing up that had the Metal Gear Solid games, but I never owned them. So like I would play them like whenever I'd go over to his house and like hang out or spend the night or something. So I don't have like a super good connection. So like the first couple of times listening to the playlist, I wasn't like super paying attention to what each song was playing. It didn't register what it was, but I remember like vibing to it. Like, okay, I'll go back and look at what this was later, but I'm liking this one. And it was like on like the third or fourth time, I think I finally like stopped and like looked like, oh, this is Metal Gear Solid, word for real. And it just, it's the word that kept coming to mind as I was listening to it, even before I knew that it was Metal Gear Solid, was just epic. And I think that, like you said, it definitely fits the theme of the game. In a lot of ways.
It just builds and crescendos. It's great. And that one played by an orchestra, much like Final Fantasy songs, are like it's to the limit. It's to the skies. It's awesome. So yeah, that song you can hear it in all kind of renditions, and it speaks volumes.
Right. And speaking of renditions, we had an original version of a song on here initially that was a big band version of this song that I thought was interesting, but then it was corrected by Brandon.
Yes.
The Portal Still Alive. So before you explain it, I don't know anything about the game, or barely. I think there's a portal involved into it. But but the only thing, the vibe I'm getting from this song is an upbeat song about still alive and everybody being dead. So is this like a dark twist on something? Like it's like a sinister thing? Like that's the vibe I'm getting without knowing anything about the game.
So
okay.
the in Portal, the antagonist for the game as you're playing through it is GLaDOS, who's like an AI gone wrong, who has constructed all these different tests and given you a portal gun and is essentially trying to kill you the entire game in the name of science. And you beat the game by basically blowing her up. And then after you blow her up and you like escape from the facility or whatever, then the credits start rolling and this song plays. So it has a very
tongue-in-cheek.
It's very tongue-in-cheek. It's very like you literally just blew this lady up and now she's singing to you and she's like, no, really, it's fine. I'm okay with everything that happened. We're still alive. And she's like making like little like maybe Black Mesa can help you, which is like Half-Life. If you played Half-Life, Black Mesa is like they fell apart and ruined the world essentially. So like that's a big joke. It's just like it's very tongue-in-cheek essentially, yes. And yeah, just I prefer the more like understated. Like in the original, actually, it's very versus like the big band was like the words were the same, but you miss out on like the contextual feeling that the original has.
For sure, yeah. I definitely like the end credit version that you added to the official playlist. I definitely like that better. But initially hearing it, I was like, okay, this is a different take, and either way, I still had the same emotion. I was confused and intrigued at the same time. I was like, okay, it's all big band and all peppy, and even this version is just like, like ukulele, la la la, having fun. Like I'm picturing, sunshine, rainbows, and Skittles, and caca, ghost and unicorn. Like I'm thinking about all those different things, but but as I'm listening to the lyrics, I'm just like, this is very dark and twisted, and I was like, I didn't know how to feel. So I was curious about how that game went, and what part of that game that was featured in, because I was like, that's just
it is weird. And I'm be honest, for me, it was a spoiler alert for me because I had never beat Portal, so I had never heard this song.
Okay, well, you had like 12, 13, 14 years at this point, so you can't blame me for that.
I was like, what is this song from? And then it dawned on me, and I was like, this is Portal. Because I listened to it without like really reading the title. I just kind of glimpsed over it, and then I was listening, and I was like, "This is Portal." Because I heard there was a song at the end, and it started. I'm listening. I'm like, "Oh no, this is the ending of the game." And I was like, I never heard this song because I never beat the game, so I never got to actually listen to the song. But I knew it was a song at the end, and I was planning on listening to it when I beat the game.
This was one of those songs that, because I think, what was it? It was like a bundle back in the day. I think maybe the Orange Box, I think it was called, where it had like Half-Life, 2, episode 1 and 2, and then also had Portal, and like that got in my like friend group growing up, that got like passed around, so like everyone got a chance to like beat all of those. And so the Stay Alive like end credits theme, like all of like my immediate like best friend group or whatever growing up, that was like an inside song for us, where like we would have that like playing on our phone for ringtones and stuff, and it would just be like crack us up for some reason. It's because it's so tongue in cheek and so kind of dumb in a way, but in like the best way.
Oh yeah, it's cool. It's a cool song.
It's good.
Yep. Okay.
So I do have one for one of my songs. I have kind of a launching off point, I guess, so to speak. I'll start off though by asking, what did you guys think of the Cyberpunk 2077 Graves?
The song?
Yeah.
The song, actually, it was pretty cool. I was thinking of another song from Cyberpunk that was really cool, but then again, it wasn't. I'm sorry, I take that back, because the song that I was thinking of was actually from the anime TV show that was on Netflix. That was really good.
They did have some really good songs on the anime. They really did.
And so I think in my mind, I was conflating it with that song. So I was like, why don't we choose that song at first? But yes, this song is really cool too. I mean, the Cyberpunk soundtrack is really cool. It's not necessarily my form of music that I listen to, or my genre per se, but it was a bop. I'll give you that.
Well, before I say anything else, Terrio, did you like it, not like it? Thought it was meh, thought it was good, great, bad, terrible?
I would say it was okay on the verge of being meh. So I like the production, so I like the vibe of it all. I just didn't like the lyrics. I thought the lyrics were kind of
the lyrics are weak. I'll 100% give you that.
Yeah, because it's just like City of Hope, City of Dreams, gang, 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 gang. I'm like, okay, so my eyes automatically roll.
Play the game.
Look, I went from Super NES.
So
I am on my way there.
Okay, well, I will say this to not justify, but to.
You can say justify. Go ahead and justify yourself.
Well, I'm justifying you actually. Like listening to just the song, like by itself on the playlist, like throughout the last week over and over again. I did kind of realize, like, just the song by itself. It's not the best. It's like you said, it's kind of meh. But like Napper kind of said, the reason I initially put it on there is because of in the context of the game, it's one of the first songs you hear. It's like right in the like basically the tutorial bit of the game or whatever, where you're just riding in the car, and it's like the first time you're seeing Night City, which is like the where the game takes place, and you're like driving through this, or you're being driven through the city, and like you're seeing gunfights and explosions, and cops are coming down and shooting people, and just like all this crazy stuff is happening. And then like underneath it all, you have this, like, in my opinion, the word that comes to mind for this song is like grimy. It's kind of like on the production side, it's a little bit grimy.
Yes,
and it really like captures the feel of like the world you're like stepping into in that moment. And I want to say all that to say that the soundtrack, like in total for this game, has so many originally like written and recorded songs that were made just for this game that not only are like, you know, unique and just for this game, but also one thing that I love, like listening, because it has like a radio whenever you're driving around or walking around or whatever you can listen to. And so many of the songs are like, it makes the way they're written, like they talk about stuff that's like in universe, and it just really makes it like really feel more alive. Like this is like, this isn't just songs that someone wrote for this game. It's like, no, this is songs that like you could easily imagine would exist in this game, because they're talking about like different like implants you have, and they're talking about like the different parts of the city, and they're talking about like different companies and all this different stuff. And that's just like scratching the surface, really. That's just one thing I like. The main reason I wanted to put a Cyberpunk song on here was just because of that, because of how hard they went. And like you kind of said, like, I don't know if you were talking about this song in particular when you said that it's not really your genre cup of tea, Napper. Okay, so another cool thing about Cyberpunk is that like for the music, they have like 8 or maybe like 10, or I don't remember. They have like 10 or so different radio stations that all have like a different genre and all have their own original music written for in that genre, from country to rock to blues to jazz to hip hop to like wild, crazy K-pop type, J-pop type stuff. It is, and all of it is like so good, so professionally produced, and like none of it even if you're listening to a song that's not really your cup of tea, like in the context of the game while you're playing it, it just all hits so well, and it like really brings the vibe of the game to like another level that you don't see. Again, going back to like modern gaming, you don't see it as much nowadays, where the music is so thoughtfully put in. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Sorry to go
that's
on my rant there.
No, it's cool. No, it's like I don't know much about the game, so you definitely schooled me about the game, and I didn't know it was that music heavy as far as all that stuff. So again, there's a lot of songs on this playlist that makes me want to play the game. Whether or not I would do that, that's a whole nother story. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, I want to check out some of these games based off the songs or based on the music. And this song in particular, Graves, I definitely got the vibe of it. Like it definitely gives me like score, like movie intro vibes. Like I can see credits coming up while listening to the song, and that's why I kind of would say it's kind of meh, because it doesn't.
That's basically what happens in the game. It's like credits are coming up. That's
hey, that's like that's literally the vibe I'm getting. Like, you know, like, so I'm like listening to this song and I'm like picturing myself like, okay, if this song is playing, I were playing a video game, this would be the moment where I would go and like probably like grab a drink or something real quick, or like, you know, go use the restroom or something real quick. Because the vibe of the song is, I can hear the vibe of the song, and the vibe of the song is telling me what's happening in the game. I don't need to like sit here and watch like every little thing. That'll be my little ADHD moment break or whatever. But the song itself is fine. Just in context with everything else, just the lyrics kind of just wow.
Yeah.
But the actual beat itself, I definitely gives me that seedy underbelly. You're entering a weird dark city where it's always raining forever and there's neon lights everywhere and there is no sun, there's no daylight, it's always nighttime and everybody's wearing leather. Like that's the vibe I'm getting from just
wow, leather.
It's honestly fitting. It's honestly fitting.
I mean, look, it looks nice on people, but I'm just like, how y'all wearing that? Y'all ain't hot.
It's so hot. Yeah. And I do want to say, just circling back around again to how all the songs like tie in, like mega spoilers for Cyberpunk, but like there's a line in the song where it's like the city's your grave or whatever, that like it repeats that, or like something close to that, which is true for you as a player. Like the city is your grave at the end of the game. Like, so it's very thematic that they play that at the beginning, and then like if you like start a new playthrough after you beat it and you're listening to it and you're like actually paying attention to the lyrics, you're like, oh my God, they knew what they were doing when they put this song like here. I feel like
you didn't make it out of the city.
I didn't.
I gotta.
I did
not. Territory.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't make it into the city, so my car had broke down, and like I was on the way to Night City, and I called a flat, and I'm still waiting on AAA to pick me up, so I ain't make it in there yet. I was on my way though. I need to call an Uber. A cyber Uber.
Don't go there. You won't make it out.
You call a cyber lift.
Yeah. Not the best place to be.
Apparently not, I guess. Good Lord. Oh, sorry. I cut you off, Napper. What were you about to say?
No, I had nothing else. You did.
Okay. Okay, cool. I think we pretty much.
I'm sitting here looking through the playlist. I think we've literally, the only song we haven't really touched on. Well, we kind of sort of touched on it, but the One Winged Angel.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but I think we covered that with all the Final Fantasy stuff.
But just one more point, I gotta say, the Sephiroth. That is like, man.
The fact that you have your name stated in a song goes to tell you that you are a badass.
Dude, 100%.
It's like you are it. And the song, you know the song. Like when you hear it, it's a dun, 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 dun. Mm-hmm. It's like, what? Like, okay, let's go. Like, yeah, that song is legendary. Or whatnot. It's his song. He literally has 100%. His own theme song. Yeah.
I had to shout that out because it's me like driving down the street in my car. I'm not even like doing any of the other bits. I'm not like pantomiming to the beat or anything. Just literally, I'm just waiting, sitting there stoically for Sephiroth. Sephiroth. It's just like, it's such a fun, like, it's an awesome song, but like singing along to that, it's kind of fun.
Oh yeah, and it will forever live on in like classical music. That is the one. It is a blueprint for classical music. For now, this day and age, like there are students who, when they go and they're classically trained, they learn that song or whatnot. And there are many orchestras that practice that song to get prepared because it was so well done, and it's in the modern age versus something that was done because you don't have many classic songs like classical music, like the classical music that sits around nowadays that's being created that's on that level or whatnot. And that song does it because it calls back to like the old classical music, which is why how you say his name? Ubau Nobao Umatsu, I think is how you pronounce it. He's a legend. He's a legend when it comes to like Final Fantasy. They pay this man so much money to just come and do the music for him, and he lives and breathes classical music or whatnot. And he always finds a way to blend other genres into his music and stuff. So yeah, that song is lit. So is that artist.
Absolutely.
I agree. I could not agree more, honestly.
Yep. Well,
that was one of the ones I was like so happy whenever it came on.
Oh yeah, and he's in Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
Actually, I think it plays whenever you fight him in Kingdom Hearts, like the original Kingdom Hearts. That was the first, because I didn't play Final Fantasy VII until like years. Like I played it before like the remake came out, like a few years back. That was the first time I'd ever played the original Final Fantasy VII. So like my only connection to Sephiroth was the Kingdom Hearts fight where this song plays, and that boss is such a dick in that game, dude. He's like the hardest boss in the entire game. I don't think I ever even beat it. And just as you're getting your ass kicked as like a 9-year-old, and then you just hear Sephiroth in the background, that gets cemented into your brain, man. It's like,
oh yeah, my gosh.
He's a tough bastard.
Okay, so as Brandon Lee gets triggered,
I got triggered a little bit. I apologize. I'm back to myself now. Came out of my fugue state.
Okay, so as Brandon Lee comes down from levitating and flying around his room at this moment, we want to take the time to thank y'all for listening to our playlist and hanging out with us this week. Tell us what you think about the playlist by leaving us a comment on our various different social media platforms, or if you're a Patreon member, feel free to shoot us a comment there and we'll get back to you via that. Just liking and subscribing, any of those things will definitely help the show out. So
faux show.
Yep. Until then, remember, we just want to F. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Black Giraffe made this.